thing.
Yeah. Yep. Alrighty then. So we are live right now. This is Ringside Heat live on Twitter, on Facebook, on Twitch, and on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. And remember this, if you're tuning in right now, this will all be used for the radio show that's coming up tomorrow at 6 p.m. So please stay tuned and watch out for, jump in and participate now if you want to, if you're seeing this live. And also, if you are going to be listening tomorrow on Saga 960 AM. Make sure you're tuning in Sunday. That's Sundays at 6 p.m. on Saga 960. Tuesdays at 9 p.m. And that is actually during WWE NXT. So, it's just an interesting booking that we have over there. Either way, we will get the show on the road as soon as we can get that going right now. And it is actually on the road right now. We have John to my right over here, and it is there's going to be the press conference actually that's going to be airing right now. It's going to be starting soon, so that's going to be happening at the moment. And while we're watching the press conference, we will be also commenting on things that happened over here at in Boston for WWE Survivor Series War Games, and we will get that going right about now in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and cue. It's Survivor Series War Game post show, and you know what that means? It is time for Ringside Heat to take to the social media airwaves and also to take to the radio airwaves as well. If you're listening Sunday night at 6 p.m. to our show, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lex Tan. So glad that you could join us here today. I am the host and the producer of the new Kings of Wrestling. Well, we are the new Kings of Wrestling, yes, but we are the best wrestling show in all of Toronto, in all of Ontario, in all of Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a great show here tonight. And by my side right now, ring crew member, he is a musician, the writer of our theme song, and he is a diamond selling recording artist, the one diamond selling recording artist you will never know. And I am going to call him John Diamond Dawson. Johnny,
Hey,
welcome.
how are you? I love these are Canada Day decorations I never took down, by the way.
That's okay, man. Hey, man, it's like, Filipinos, and you're married to a Filipino as well, too. They typically
Yes.
don't take down their Christmas decorations anyway. Like, they go up and they stay up for the entire year.
Yeah, we were well into the spring by the time the tree came down this year. This is also an homage to two Canadian boys who did some exceptional work tonight, I think, too. So I'm glad it's here.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, definitely the two Canadians in the main event. Wow, I'm just impressed by. I'm just impressed of all the things that I saw from this entire PLE, but at the same time, as you mentioned, the two Canadians who were in the main event tonight, along with just a bevy of great wrestlers, sports entertainers, whatever you want to call them. But like I've always said this before, and I know, John, you've said this as well, too, many, many times. When WWE gets it right, they really get it right.
Yeah, they sure do, and they sure did. Yeah. I yeah, I'm still kind of processing it because I just thought it was really beautiful. I love the last few moments of Sammy just cradling and the grabbing of the ref's arm as opposed to hitting Kevin, I thought was
Yes.
um just chef's kiss. And then, the cradling, the dropping and the offering, like it was just beautifully dramatic, and it almost like had these, classic sort of it was beautiful. I don't even know what to say. It was just fantastic.
And it's interesting that you say that because when we talked about, or actually, I looked at one of the accounts that I follow on Twitter, WWE Creative Humor, and they put out a tweet after that, just right after that. It's like, what did it say? Something like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens putting on some Shakespeare tonight, or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I
Uh,
keep wanting to say things like biblical or Shakespearean because it all felt so classic and just phenomenal.
exactly, and it's and that's the thing. It's like they usually just like take fun jabs, whatever like that. But that one, the talking about it being Shakespearean, that was pretty Shakespearean for wrestling, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's wrestling. We all obviously, we know that. But I mean, for wrestling, I just can't think of a more impressive display of drama in wrestling in recent memory.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
And
not dramatic wrestling. I mean, real performance
yes.
in wrestling. I cannot think of anything in my recent memory that has come close to what I just saw.
Exactly. And you know what? I want to talk about that and unpack that a little bit later on in the show. But but I'd like us to, first of all, in this first segment, just, talk about the card and talk about what we saw earlier today and and the things that, were taking place. And I particularly really enjoyed the show. And I think it's something that even especially after WrestleMania this year, just all the PLEs that have come and gone have been just top notch PLEs. Like even before Vince McMahon had to forcefully retire, the PLE programming has been pretty good. I haven't had any complaints about watching a PLE on a Saturday night or a Sunday night or anything like that in a while, honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and so here's what happened. Let's go and talk about the results real quick over here. The first match of the night was the women's war game match, clocking in at a time of 39 minutes and 40 seconds. That started off the show here. Team Belair with Bianca, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Mia Yim, and Becky Lynch defeating Team Bayley with Damage Control of Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky, with Nikki Cross and Rhea Ripley via the pinfall. And the big spot of the night was Becky jumping off the top of the cage and basically sentoning basically onto two of the ladies who were on the tables over there, and then getting the pinfall. And just this match over here, I thought it was an 8 out of 10 personally, and I thought it was a great way just to get everybody into it. And these ladies, these ladies don't play around. They really bring it, and each one of these ladies just really brought it tonight for their War Games match.
I'm not going to disagree. I like that.
We've also got Team A. We also got the second match of the night: AJ Styles with the OC, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, defeating Finn Balor with the Judgment Day of Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio, and AJ gets the win by pinfall, and that clocked in at 18 minutes and 25 seconds. And again, we've said this before, and yes, AEW likes to pride themselves as the pro wrestling company. They're the ones who prioritize the matches and prioritize professional wrestling and the people who wrestle inside the ring. And when I look at a match like AJ Styles versus Finn Balor, or Prince Devitt, or however you want to call him, it's like people think that WWE doesn't do wrestling. They do wrestling. This was a wrestling match, and it was riveting.
Yeah, this is Finn Balor and AJ Styles. I mean, can they have a bad match? I don't know.
No, I don't think so. But I do have a little bit of a complaint with what in terms of the Boston crowd. Now, the Boston crowd was pretty good the entire night. However, I found them to be a little bit quiet in this match for my liking and for my thinking as well too. And my question is though, and for those of you listening right now online, and maybe you can drop a comment over here. We'll see it on our StreamYard over here, and we will be able to. And if you can address that for us, then maybe that'd be a great idea, great thing here. Was the Boston crowd either sitting on their hands because because the match wasn't as all high spotty or anything like that, or were they just so riveted? Were they just so riveted by the action that they were just sitting there almost quiet and just really focused in? And that's because when I think about how the Toronto Maple Leafs sometimes have their crowds over at Air Canada Centre, Scotiabank Arena, people say, "Oh, the Leaf fans are so quiet," or whatever like that. Is it because they're sitting on their hands? Is it because of the corporate structure, or whatever like that, or is it because they're just riveted by the actual product that's on the ice at the moment or in the ring at the moment. What do you think?
Like, are we about Toronto in general or about Boston?
Well, Boston. I'm just making the comparison from a Toronto Maple Leaf crowd to the way the Boston kind of reacted or non-reacted maybe to the AJ Styles versus Finn Balor match.
Yeah, I mean, Maple Leaf crowd, that's a very different kind of Toronto crowd sometimes, isn't it? I mean, like Toronto can get, especially wrestling, we can get pretty wild. So I think in the terms of Boston, I noticed that with the final match too. I wasn't sure they always knew what to do. Like they're not it's funny when you draw you think of a Toronto crowd in wrestling. We're very typical, we'll tell you what we like and we're very vocal about it and we have no problem, messing with any of their booking and storylines. I wasn't sure Boston, it didn't sound to me like they really understood, there were reactions where there should have been quote unquote, and it seemed like there were reactions where there shouldn't have been. Like I don't know. I found the crowd a bit confusing. I think sitting on the hands is one way. I just don't know that they knew what to do, if I can say that, which is a horrible thing to say, but it's the only words I can think to describe. Does that make any sense? That they're just,
It sounds like it makes some sort of sense and everything, because it's like because for me it really didn't make any sense that for a match like that you take AJ Styles and Finn Balor and put them in like a Philadelphia, you put them in a Madison Square Garden, you put them
in
in
Toronto.
exactly. You put them in a Toronto or a Montreal, and people will be responding to everything that was going on in that match, and then you will have those those exchanges where everybody's like oohing and ahhing, and then afterwards they separate each other, then the applause happens and everything, and it's like
Right.
it's like you know what you can get from one of those Toronto like a Toronto, Montreal, MSG, Philadelphia, Chicago. You know what you're going to get from those, and then. And I thought you could put Boston into that, at least according to because they're in the Northeast along with us, right?
Yeah, I agree. I was kind of surprised that it didn't seem like a hot crowd for sure. I mean, they really, the Jays, what is it, the friendly fire of the super kick in the last match there definitely got them, woke them up a little bit, and you got
yeah,
pretty classic Attitude Era chant there.
Mm-hmm.
But up until that point, it did seem like a generally flat crowd. Like it wasn't a very loud one. The reactions weren't overwhelming in any direction for anybody, and I don't know what that was about. It was weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we could talk about that a little bit more. And if anybody has any comments over here, just send them in wherever you're watching, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or Twitch or Twitter. Just send those comments over to us. We'll get them, and we'll see if we can we can address that here for you. You're listening to Ringside Heat's post Survivor Series War Game reaction show live on social media. And of course, all of this will be used in the radio show that'll be airing tomorrow night at 6 p.m. That's Sunday at 6 p.m. on saga960am.ca, and also will be on the Spotify as well as episode number 71. Now, here's a little thing before we get into the rest of the Survivor Series. You'll notice that if you look at our Spotify or our iHeartRadio or Google Podcasts or our Spreaker page, we're missing an episode number 68, where we talk about the debut of Simone Johnson, aka Ava Raine, aka Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's daughter. I will get that up there as soon as possible. I just realized that that's missing right there, so I will have that up there as well too, so you can listen to that episode and all the episodes that we've aired on Spotify and on saga960am.ca. And we're talking about Survivor Series War Games here. My name Lex Tan, and beside me John Diamond Dawson, and we're going to be going to a short break over here, but when we come back, we'll continue talking about the Survivor Series card, and we'll talk about what could be happening in the future as we move forward into Royal Rumble, which has been announced to be on January the 28th. That's a Saturday of 2023. January 28th, 2023. And you'll be sure that we'll be doing a live reaction to that as well as a post show reaction, and we'll return after a few minutes. We'll just pay some bills, and we'll be back with more Ringside Heat after these promotional considerations. All right, that is the first block, and we're clear. And for those of you who are watching right now live, it is Paul Heyman right now at the media scrum desk alongside Sami Zayn, and he's got the titles with him and Sami Zayn on his side. And let me just get some audio over here. And okay, that's a great thing that Heyman just said, and we'll mention this a little bit more. Paul Heyman just said about Sami Zayn, he was brought in, or he's the equivalent of being brought in as a guest star on a TV show, but he was so passionate and so good at what he does that they brought him onto the main cast. So like again, Paul Heyman is one of those guys who just. He is this master orator. I don't know if there's any manager that I've encountered in my years of watching wrestling better than Paul Heyman. Maybe Bobby Heenan, I don't know, but like I didn't grow up with Bobby, unfortunately.
I did. Bobby was great, but Heyman's on another level.
Mm-hmm.
Because Heyman's also doing, like that the way he just framed Sami Zayn is just this. I mean, that's perfect. That's a perfect way to describe that. I love that. Love that analogy.
And wow. And Sami Zayn just said this. When we're out there, it's not just really good acting. That's real stuff coming to the fore. And he said it hit different tonight than it did for Battleground.
So does it sound like this isn't a kayfabe press conference?
It probably doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't sound like a kayfabe press conference. That's
interesting.
And here's the thing. It's like, again, when WWE does it right, it does it right. Because like, Tony Khan, and like anybody listening right now who's an AEW fan, don't get me wrong, I have much respect for Tony, much respect for AEW, but their last couple of attempts at a non-kayfabe press conference.
Yeah. Do we have audio for this? Like, I'm not hearing it. Am I supposed to be hearing it?
No, I haven't shared this. I didn't get to share the screen over here yet, right. So. Because like I just don't want it to I just don't want it to be detected by WWE and us getting and then stopping the stream. So
that's fine.
Yeah. Either way, we're gonna go back to let's get back to the show, and let's talk about what we just saw with Paul Heyman and Sami Zayn just now in those last couple of minutes. We'll put that on the show, and we're gonna come back to the show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And cue. And welcome back to Ringside Heat on News Talk Saga 960 AM. My name is Lex Tan, host and producer of the show. And this, my friends, is the best radio wrestling show on the airwaves right now here in Toronto and Ontario and Canada. And we are the new kings of professional wrestling talk in this city. Yes, right, ladies and gentlemen. And beside me is one of those new kings of professional wrestling talk. He is a diamond selling recording artist, and he is the writer of our theme song, John Diamond Dawson. Thank you again for being here with me today.
Diamonds, kings, my goodness. This is all horrible for my ego.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes that ego needs to be pumped up a little bit. It's like, I'll tell you, I spent a lot of my life. Rightfully trying to learn how to, have humility in my heart and everything, and do the best I can to just to be to be, you know, a good little boy or whatever like that. And you know, maybe I need a little bit more confidence in myself. Maybe I did, and maybe I did, and maybe that's what we need sometimes. Maybe we need to pump ourselves up a little bit more, because you know, would The Rock have been The Rock if he didn't turn his personality up to 11?
No, he would not have. And I'm certainly never going to complain about somebody, you know, shining that light on me and helping me feel great about myself. It is much appreciated. Thank you, Lex.
Hey man, I much appreciate you too. Hey, you know what? You've been a great friend of over all the years that we've known each other, and you've been a dedicated a dedicated friend and personality to this particular show. And you know, and as the Beatles would say, and I know you love the Beatles, you know, where are we going, Johnny? To the top, Johnny.
Right to the top, Johnny. I love it. I love it.
And speaking of, you know, things that are just great, diamonds and kings and all that sort of stuff right now. We were talking about it during the break. We're watching live as well. The press conference, the post media or the post show press conference that WWE is holding right now, and it's Paul Heyman along with Sami Zayn, and they're fielding the questions right now. And we were talking about how good Paul Heyman is as an orator, as as not just as a manager, but also promoting the talent that he has. And he said this about Sami Zayn, which I thought was really, really cool. He said, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit over here because I don't have an exact quote on me right now, but Paul Heyman said that Sami Zayn was like the guest star on a TV show that was so good at his job and was so passionate about what he was doing that they decided to bring him in and become part of the principal cast.
What I'm trying to actually, and for some reason I'm drawing a blank at some of those really epic. Like was the Fonz one of those in Happy Days?
I have no idea. I know the Happy Days theme song, and I know that, and I know who the Fonz is because of the Water Boy.
Oh my god.
Sorry, man. My cultural influences are like 90s and 2000s, man. I'm not an 80s baby.
Younger than me. Like how is that possible? I don't understand this. We got some work to do.
I do. I do.
I'm just trying because anyways, there's been some brilliant examples of that in the history of television, but for some reason I can't remember any of them. Well, apparently Andy Bernard in The Office, I just looked it up, was only supposed to be in an 8-episode arc.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
There's one. Yeah.
Right? That's one, Frasier. That's who I was thinking of.
Oh, right. Yeah.
There you go.
Sami
Zayn is the Frasier Crane of professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm. And wow, like, and even Sami Zayn, like, as we were talking about it in the first part of the show, there's just something about the way they were able to tell that story, and it's admittedly a B story compared to the Bloodline, but it's just told so well, it's acted so well that it's just it's turning. It's really turning the tide from the Bloodline being purely heel to like something that's just enamoring the crowds and enamoring the wrestling fans right now.
Yeah, yes and no, because I think this actually saved them. And I think I've said it on the show a couple times. I've been worried for a while that the Bloodline is so hot, and it is the best thing, I think, in any promotion right now. It's the best thing going.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for a crowd not to start to really love that. Kevin was the perfect piece there because, the tension between Jay and Sami, and as long as Sami, I was saying it to my son tonight, I'm like, before the end of the match, I'm thinking as long as Sami is in the Bloodline, they are basically functionally a face.
Right.
But this, I think, may have just solved that problem. I think.
Ooh.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it was so I mean, now Sammy was playing a bit at the end. It's like he was really trying to hide some color. Really nice character work from Sammy. It was really nice. It was he conflicted, and then in the end he wasn't. It was like Vader. There was nothing left of Sammy anymore. He's more Oos than Sam now. Oh, why I love that. Do you hear what I just said there?
Yeah.
He's more Oos than Sam now. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even
Mm-hmm.
have a writer, folks. I just came up with that.
More Oos than Sam. Ringside Heat on Newstalk Saga
Holy
960. We've got a couple of comments over here, and Chico just messaging us on our
yes, I
on our
saw that.
offline chat here, and he says, "Why doesn't Lex Tan read my Facebook comments on the air? Acknowledge me."
Yes. Well,
It's
he could
it's
read them himself, but that's a whole other story.
That's true. I mean, like if Chico wanted to make comments, he could just get on the air with us right now. But I will read his comments over here as a result. He said, Chico says, "Yep, you could say Johnny is our very own crown jewel," and you don't even you don't have a writer over here, and you're coming up with this gold.
Come on, this is good. This is good stuff, Chico.
Mm-hmm. He
Chico
also
swings for the fences. Anyways, go ahead. Yeah.
He also follows up saying TK is still growing into it, but yeah, he ain't WWE, not by a long shot. Need a few decades under him for that. And Heyman is genius level. Heenan was great too, yes, but I'm with John there. Next level.
Yeah.
And Tim as well. Tim, one of our friends from the United States who's listening right now online, and we'll be listening, and we hope we'll be listening to the radio show airing on Saga960am.ca Sunday at 6 p.m. He says, best pay-per-view in some time. Now, what do you think about that comment, John?
Yeah, I would agree. Best premium live event in some time. Well, WrestleMania was pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I'd say WrestleMania still was. I think it was the best WrestleMania in a few years. I have to say, yeah,
a long time, yeah. But since Mania, oh yeah, I mean, there were moments. Clash of the Castle. I love the the Gunther Sheamus, really fantastic work. But I think overall, this was it could have been forgettable, if not forgettable, but it could have just been kind of high end of average if it wasn't for the exceptional work done at the end.
Yes. And that's the thing. It's like people had been talking about and complaining about how there wasn't enough of a build getting into the show, especially with Crown Jewel getting a lot of the shine, a lot of the shine, especially with with the exactly, and it's I find it to and that's the thing is that if you and maybe it's this thing where maybe if maybe there's that idea that we have to be watching. Maybe we really actually do have to be watching the shows week to week to week, as opposed to casually watching now, because we need because they're telling the story and they're getting that build already within that. But then if the casual fan just comes in, it's like, of course, it's not going to feel like a lot.
Yeah. So Owens gets involved in this 2 weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm a casual fan, I'm already, and I'm not a casual fan. I'm watching it going like, wow, I think I missed some of that, and I feel I missed something. I imagine myself as a casual fan. My first question would be, who are these guys? What happened? Why are they doing this? And I would want to know everything about the guy with the beard and the other guy with the beard. What happened? I would want to know what this story was, because it was just so perfectly laid out. So yeah, I like that idea that it feels like a bit of a must-see moment, is like, well, what's going to happen next? Obviously, we're going to watch to see what happens next, because this is definitely a to be continued, kind of thing here. So yeah, that's it. I don't know, man. I just really, I think it's just brilliant. This was something else I have not seen. I'm not just saying it because I am. Obviously, it's no secret I'm more of a WWE fan than whatever else is out there. But I think this, if you don't look at this and say this is some of the best work you've ever seen in a professional wrestling ring, I don't know what to tell you.
Ringside Heat on Newstalk Saga 960 AM and on social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. We are talking Survivor Series War Games over here, and we've got a few minutes here left in this segment, so let's talk about the rest of the matches here, because we will talk about the men's War Game match a little bit more later on as well. And our Facebook chat right now is is going right now, and Colin, he wants to get in on this over here. So Colin says, is it really stupid if I show up now? And I say, Colin, get in here right now. If you want in, Colin, get in here.
Get in here. Oh my goodness.
And because he typed that out, I'm gonna type that out right now. Colin, get in here.
Oh, I can see your 3 dots.
That's right.
That's fine.
So the next match after AJ Styles versus Finn Balor was Ronda Rousey putting up the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship against Shotzi Blackheart. I'll always call her Shotzi Blackheart, with Shayna Baszler in tow, and Ronda got the win by submission. Now, here's the thing. When I looked at that match, it was exactly what it needed to be. Of course, I didn't think Shotzi was going to take the title away from Ronda here, but they did have a pretty decent match together and everything.
Yeah, I missed this one. Sorry.
Okay. Hey, and here over here is just showing up right now is Colin, Mr. Dippy Start Dodge. How you doing?
I feel stupid. I can't wait to join you guys. I haven't been on the show in like a month. Did we start? Yeah, like a half hour ago. So
yep. All you needed to do is scroll up, brother.
I've been watching the chat. I don't know how I missed it.
No, in his defense, that chat blows up fast. It's easy to miss. It's easy to miss stuff.
That is true. That is very, very true.
You guys were very excited about this pay-per-view, so it's easily, based on your reactions, an 8 out of 10, I think. That's my review of a show I didn't watch.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We have a panelist on our show that didn't watch the show, but hey, you know what? He's our AEW expert, so you know who am I to complain?
I'm late for a show I don't really need to be on. This is the quality radio you're getting, folks.
Ringside Heat on Newstalk Saga 960 AM. It is the Survivor Series post show right now, happening on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, and on Twitch. And Triple H is actually at the podium right now at the press conference. And
conference.
I think he has a little bit more control over his talent than that.
The last one I watched, things got crazy.
Oh, is that with that guy from Chicago? What's his name?
Yeah, some fool that wasted everybody's time for a while. He's gone now.
He owns an ice cream bar company or something.
No, they were smart not to make those.
And yep, you know what? And you know what? At the risk of me being blacklisted by AEW, I'm going to reserve my comments for our offline chat over here. So, but we will take a little bit of a break here. We'll come back with our final segment of Ringside Heat for the night, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what happened with Ronda, with Shotzi, with Austin Theory, Seth freaking Rollins, and Bobby Lashley, and of course the men's War Games match, which we've been talking about and raving about over the past hour so far. You're listening to Ringside Heat on Newstalk Saga 960. Stay tuned for more of the best wrestling show in all Toronto, Ontario, and Canada. All right, that is our second segment.
I will be back. I have to get my charger. My laptop's not doing well here.
Okay, cool. Alrighty then. So in the meantime, in the meantime, how have you been, Colin?
Stupid. So stupid.
Well,
I'm here waiting. I'm just waiting. I've been sitting at my computer for a half hour. I must have just missed the link because, yeah. Fuck.
At least we're on break, so that's not going to go. So I can edit that part out there.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
No, but it's yeah. I mean, like, hey, it's as you said, as you said in our group chat. This is probably going to be one of those shows that that we're going to be telling you what happened, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like so far, I mean, like so far, it's like the wrestling itself has been really, really good so far.
That's awesome to hear. That's good.
And I am going to get into more of that with when I talk about Austin Theory, Seth Rollins, and Bobby Lashley, because I honestly thought that match was going to just bore me to death.
Yeah.
But then again, it's a triple threat, and so like every kerfuffle in a triple threat always there's always a way to make a kerfuffle out of a triple threat look good.
Triple threats, they're either the worst thing or they steal the show. There's really no in between for a triple threat. So
mm-hmm.
No, that's good to hear though.
Mm-hmm. Well, we got Triple H at the podium right now, and he's talking about like how the talent just knocked it out of the park right now.
Excellent.
And it's looks like Triple H has dark circles under his eyes. Maybe it's makeup too, but the dark circles under his eyes aren't as dark as they used to be. Gee, I wonder what the change was.
I don't know. Happier at his job. It's amazing. It'll do wonders when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different person since quitting my last job. So
Yeah, and it seems like Triple H is a different person since some other guy quit his job.
Yep. Quits, forced out, whatever. Always comes down to the books. Just ask Al Capone. Tax evasion. That's what got him.
And yeah, and he's just right now Triple H is just edifying all of his talent right now, and that's something that's really, really nice to hear. I mean, considering past press conferences that we tuned in for. So,
well, it's got to be nice that he actually means it and not has to say it. So
yeah,
I mean, their pay-per-views are good enough to actually have press conferences, so that's good.
Yeah. And what's interesting as well, and John and I were kind of talking about this during the first break, that this seems like it's one of those non-kayfabe press conferences.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, he's talking about how he grew up watching Survivor Series.
Who?
Triple H. And it meant a lot to Triple H that he helped put that all put the night together, and the way it succeeded, it meant so much to him.
How old is Triple H?
I think he's in his 50s now.
Early 50s, right?
Yeah, it's got to be early 50s.
I'll look it up. Hold on.
No,
I'll work Google for you guys. Don't worry.
Nice.
I totally appreciate his sentiment. I just find growing up watching Survivor Series might be a bit of a stretch, but
53. He was born in 69. Nice. July 27, 1969.
Oh, interesting. So he turned so he turned on Shawn Michaels on his birthday in 2002. No, yeah. I'm sorry. That wasn't that no. That was 2 days after his birthday in 2002.
His birthday present was topping What Happened to Marty Jannetty. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, Marty, I did it better.
This is how you do it.
Better, yeah.
You can't always just do sugar glass.
I don't know why. I will never not find that Triple H funny. Like, WWE. Just I don't know. It just gets me. It's
amazing how he did that. Like, who finally told him before The Rock did that promo? I have to wonder, because he had stopped doing it by that point, but just recently stopped doing it. And yeah, who told him that's how you emphasize each syllable? Like what?
When I hear Michelle Branch and her first album, that's all I hear. That I love Michelle Branch and I love her music, but that's all I hear from that's all I heard her sing. Was basically the girl Triple H.
Oh,
I'll take your word for that. I don't think I've ever listened to a Michelle Branch record in my life.
I can't even think of a song. If I've heard her song, I didn't know it was her.
I wanted to be like you.
Oh,
I wanted everything.
No.
That was like a weird 90s affectation. That kind of thing.
I always steered clear of top 40 radio, so yeah, I missed that entirely.
Oh yeah. Well, tonight it's Survivor Series.
See, that sounds better. Put a little acoustic guitar with that. I'll listen to that for half a minute.
Alrighty then. Let's go. Let's get this last segment on the road.
Yeah, I'm here now. Come on, let's get it. Be professional. Let's get it together here.
All right. John's computer is plugged in and charging. I'm
sufficiently prepared for the topics ahead. Let's go.
Yep, and we'll talk, and so we'll talk about we'll quickly talk about Triple H at the podium right now, and saying like how and we were talking, John, while you were getting your charger, how he's basically really edifying his talent right now. Like he's so happy with the way the show turned out.
Good, he should be.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that he's spinning that back on the talent. Good for him.
Mm-hmm. That's honestly like that's honestly heartwarming to hear, honestly, that like that yes, I know, yes, Triple H, he's grown so much, like since he started as a wrestler in the WWE.
Presumably, it certainly seems that way. Yeah, it really does. It seems like he's really become a leader and not just, a guy who went to the corporate office and married the boss's daughter. Like he's
exactly
really grown into a leadership role.
It's great to see. Anyway, I'm starting to, and for whatever reason, I'm starting to tear up a little bit. But here, let's go. Let's throw a curtain call in 3, 2, 1. Cue. And welcome back to Ringside Heat on Newstalk Saga 960 AM. My name is Lex Tan, and you can follow me at Lex Tan Media, and you can follow the show at Ringside_Heat on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook.com/groups/Ringside Heat. We are joined by a second member of the Ring Crew here, and you can follow him at Risen72. He is a charity Twitch streamer for sick kids and Extra Life. Colin, quote unquote, did we start ? Dodge.
Yeah, I got to start following you guys apparently, so I know what's happening. Jesus,
hey,
I'm not here for a month, and I don't know how anything works anymore.
And you've been retweeting the Ringside Heat tweets as well.
Well, don't mention that. Oh man.
And
now,
of course,
I feel like I'm one of the many nondescript factions in AEW that really don't matter, but I'm just taking up screen space anyway.
Don't worry. Don't worry. You're here. We'll elevate you. Anyway.
Or one of the hundreds of NWO members right before it all collapsed. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
And we also have as well with us for our third segment here, good old John Diamond Dawson, who you can follow at John Dawson Music. Johnny, to the top.
Yes, to the toppermost of the poppermost. Is that what they said?
Yes, that's right.
Reply? Yeah.
Yep.
Good. What are we talking about now? Are we still talking about Survivor Series?
Probably. Yeah, we'll still talk about Survivor Series. We've got a couple of matches left to talk a little bit about, but I do want to say that, like, as we're recording this right now, and as the people who are watching this live online are watching, Triple H is at the podium right now, and just been able to hear some of the things that he's been saying, and he has such a he's so supportive. He sounds so supportive, and he sounds so happy with the way the show turned out today. He's taking a lot of time just edifying all of the talent that was involved in the show, and how he really looks like, he's still got his straight game professional face on, but you can see in his eyes that like how happy he is right now for all of the people involved in WWE.
That we were just talking before we went on air here about him really seeming to that something's different in him, and as he's moved into this new role, He strikes me as the type of guy who now probably understands the full weight and may even be humbled by the fact that he is ostensibly carrying this in a way that he probably never thought he would.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, you'd have to be, I don't know, just made of just rocks to not be affected by that.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
it's funny a word you said just before we came back, Lex, where you said curtain call, and case in point, the actual curtain call.
Sure,
He's the one that took the
yeah,
garbage from that incident.
yeah.
So his road in WWE from when he started to where he now is was not easy by any stretch.
We'll talk about the
Despite
heroes.
marrying Princess, despite marrying Stephanie McMahon, the keys to the kingdom or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, he did not have an easy way through that WWE system through all the changes from when he was there in mid 90s.
It's the hero's journey, right?
Yeah.
Like the desert coming out. It's pretty
Yeah.
amazing. It's a pretty amazing story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's actually it actually brings a little tear to my eye because I mean, like I grew up. I didn't. I only knew about the game and that sort of thing when I would download random WWE MP3s from like a Napster or a Kazaa or whatever like that. And then when YouTube came about and other websites starting to post old Attitude or quote unquote at the time old Attitude Era promos and stuff like that, and what because I came into the fandom when Triple H was just coming in back from his quad injury and saw him basically talk for 20 minutes and saying absolutely nothing but he has a championship
yeah I had a hard time buying. I loved his return. Just to go off on Triple H for a second, that I remember that return when he came back. I remember that pop, and it still ranks among some of my favorite pops in WWE history.
Mm-hmm.
But I still had a hard time buying that Triple H because it felt to me that it was he just happened to be there and wound up in the main event picture. So I was never fully convinced that he was, the in-ring guy to do all that stuff. And there may be a bit of revisionist history when they're looking at Triple H as an in-ring competitor. Maybe people will disagree with me on that, but I don't recall ever being blown away by a Triple H match.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I don't know about a Triple H match, but as a rivalry that stands out to me, him and Orton when Orton was kicking everybody's head in.
Mm-hmm.
And that one promo where pride goeth before the fall, where he finally beat Orton and all that kind of thing, like that rivalry still stands out to me like as an entire package.
Yeah,
really extremely well done. But yeah, you're right. There isn't. I can't pinpoint. That Triple H match was absolutely amazing. Yeah. It's an interesting point, but you're right.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I know it's a bit of a digression, but it's just something I always thought of. Like, I've never really understood that. Like, I wouldn't call him one of the greats. He was absolutely important in almost, accidental ways. Taking the fall for the curtain call gave us Austin 3:16.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
It's just an interesting story. But anyways, here he is.
Being the heat magnet for how many years with the McMahon Helmsley era?
Yeah.
When that first came about.
Yeah, that. That right there, his heel, just his character work as the guy you love to hate.
Yeah.
That earns him a top spot in the history of that company for sure. But I've always noticed that. Like I can't think of a standout moment of him in ring.
And here's the thing too, is that like, in the ways that Iron Sheik, if not for him being such a great heel and him laying down for Hogan, Hulkamania would never have been born. Yeah. And in the same way with Austin 3:16, as Colin was mentioning, but at the same time, I would also venture and say that if not for Triple H, just like not for Stone Cold Steve Austin, but if not for Triple H, then The Rock may not have been elevated in the way that he was as well.
Yeah. And just to follow up that point, is even as I say there wasn't a standout moment of greatness, there also was never a standout moment of, that's
right.
Yeah. he's one of those guys. It's like when you hear a good musician, it's like, okay, are they, lighting up the stage? No, but are they, falling all over the place and playing wrong notes everywhere? They're good.
Yeah.
They almost disappear into the ether of the overall environment. And I think that's the Triple H effect, is that, yeah, did he stand out? No, but he also never stunk up the joint up. You know what I mean? Like he was pretty reliable.
Yeah, so maybe kind of underrated, kind of taken for granted.
I think so.
A little bit,
I think so. I think taken for granted for
Yeah.
sure is probably a good description. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway,
But as you said, reliable hand, and that's somebody
Yeah.
that you need in order to run this, the biggest wrestling company in all the history of the world, and especially after after Vince. After Vince is now gone from from wrestling, there had to be somebody to step up, and Triple H was given that position now, and seems like he's running well with it, and I hope he runs with it for a long time, and he looks happier. His dark circles under his eyes, they're not as dark. Maybe it's makeup, or maybe he's just happier with his job.
And maybe it's just like living a normal hours. Didn't Vince was he just up all day? Did he have,
all day?
Yeah,
all
he does.
night, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't. He'd be working out at or he'd be out drinking with Jericho at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and then he'd hit the gym by 6 o'clock a.m. flipping the bird to Jericho. That's why aren't you here with me?
That's great.
Yeah. But yeah, let's a couple of matches before we go here. As we were talking originally about Ronda versus Shotzi, and I said that this one over here was what it needed to be. But it did make Shotzi. I think it made Shotzi look good because she got some really good offense in there. There was a spot as well where where Shotzi did a splash and took out Ronda and Shayna and a couple of quote unquote fans in the first row as well too. So that was a fun spot to see. And Austin Theory, Seth Rollins, and Bobby Lashley, they had a triple threat match for the United States Championship. Austin Theory defeated he inadvertently pinned Seth Rollins in the finish was, and for Colin, who didn't get to see this over here, that pin was Rollins was setting him up for a suplex of some sort or for a finisher, and Lashley executed a spear onto Rollins, and Austin Theory basically fell into the pin, got the 1-2-3.
Kind of like how Triple H beat Stone Cold in the 3 Stages of Hell.
There it is. Now, see, I didn't watch that match, so when I saw,
okay, that's my Triple H match then.
You know what? Now
yes,
you mention it, that's that the 3 Stages. How I forgot about that one.
Yeah, that's because they do that match so rarely, which is perfect anyway. But sorry, so the burial of Austin Theory is over, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, that was that was the first time I believe that I ever saw that kind of inadvertent pinfall happen and everything, and it made sense because not only was the action great from all three of them, I thought this was going to be a sleeper match. I thought I was going to fall asleep during the match, but it was the sleeper match. I thought it was I thought it was a lot better than I gave it for, and the finish with Austin Theory finding a way to win that way. Without making Seth Rollins or Bobby Lashley look weak out of it, that was pretty phenomenal for me.
That's great. Back when Edge and Christian used to have a podcast, they would always go on about logic, having logic within the match, doing things that make sense, and little details. And so it sounds like that's what they did for that finish. So good.
Mm-hmm. And you're listening to Ringside Heat on News Talk Saga 960 AM, and this is our Ringside Heat post-Survivor Series War Games reaction show, which will be airing Sunday, 6 p.m., and also on Tuesday at 9 p.m. on saga960am.ca or AM960 on the radio dial. A few more minutes left in this show, so let's go and just talk again about I have nothing but great things to say, honestly, about the men's War Game match and this whole pay-per-view the PLE, I'm sorry, this whole premium live event was very, very strong. Probably one of all the PLEs have been strong since WrestleMania, but this one seems to be like, a little bit stronger than the other ones that have gone by. And again, when WWE can do those little acting things that people sometimes take for granted and say, oh, it's just sports entertainment, whatever like that. Oh, it's not professional wrestling. No, this elevates professional wrestling. Like what we saw at the ending of that match and John, you described it earlier just so perfectly with the sacrifice of Kevin Owens and
the arm motion of Sammy was after cradling. I mean, it was beautiful. It was really, really nice.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. It's like, that and I'm sorry, but for fans out there who just rag on sports entertainment or WWE for being sports entertainment, look at the elevation. Look at what you can do when you can elevate this this art form into something bigger than just what people think it might be, and that's something that that you can see with the biggest companies out there, like the Disney company. They've been involved with giving people epic experiences since 1928 when Snow White came out, all the way to the fact that you can have a live full-size Millennium Falcon that you can actually go into and interact with. And same thing with WWE. It's like they've wanted to make this professional wrestling thing bigger and better than it always than it was before, and they see, at least now it seems like they're continuing that legacy.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Vince McMahon himself coined the branding term sports entertainment. That's all it is. It's just a term. They're the same thing. Both, all wrestling companies are doing the same thing. WWE is doing it one way. AEW is doing it another way. TNA, whatever, Impact is doing it this way. And New Japan, they're all doing it their own way. It's all the same thing. Mm-hmm. It's just, WWE is continuing pushing its own self to do better than what they did the year before. And I mean, they're rolling right now. So good on them, and keep doing it.
Nice programs can come out of this too. I think Solo and Kevin Owens could do some good work. Everybody had their moments. I think Usos and Brawling Brutes probably got a couple more runs at each other. I think some nice stuff can come out of this. It was great. That match really can't find enough good words to say about it.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? Let's talk next week when we come back with more Ringside Heat. Let's talk about storylines that will be coming out, because we haven't been able to talk about AEW Full Gear as well. So I want to know what Colin's speculation for the next few months of AEW programming is going to be. John and Chico and Jose and everybody, anybody who wants to come in here into the show, we would love to hear your thoughts as well about the future. Few months of wrestling programming, not just for our WWE, but for AEW as well too. And of course, we're going to also try to hit up some of those local wrestling promotions here in Toronto and the greater Toronto area, because wrestling, independent wrestling on the local level, is the backbone of this industry, and we want to make sure that we give you independent wrestling promotions all the love that we can, because who knows, one of you will be WWE one day, one of you could be Impact, one of you could be AEW, and it's great to see the journeys from the beginning. At this point, I just gotta thank you all for listening. Thank you all for tuning in to the live stream here on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, and on Twitter. Thank you as well to Ring Crew members at John Dawson Music, John Diamond Dawson, and Chico says he may be Diamond Dawson, but he's not a dime a dozen.
Wow,
lovely. But he just really keeps those coming, eh? He's really good at that.
Yep.
It's almost relentless. Yeah.
And thank you as well too at Risen72.
Don't thank me. No.
Charity Twitch streamer for Sick Kids and Extra Life, Colin Dodge. Thank you for being on the show and popping in when you could.
Yeah, when I could. Sure, that's what happened. I was real busy doing something more important aside from waiting and missing my cue. Anyway, yeah, no, that's great. I love it. I'm glad I'm back, kind of.
And as well, you can follow myself, Lex Tan, at Lex Tan Media, and follow Ringside Heat on our social media at ringside_heat, Instagram, Twitter, and facebook.com/groups/ringside heat. That's it for the show here today. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back next week with the best wrestling talk in all of Toronto, in all of Ontario and Canada. We are the new kings of wrestling talk in Toronto, in Ontario, and in Canada. And you know what? Ringside Heat is the new law in this town. Have a good night, everybody. Talk to you next week. All right, and we are clear.
Wow, that just flew by.
Yes, it did.
Are we still live on Facebook? We're still live on the socials, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we're still live on the socials right now, but that is it for the that is it for the radio show proper. No need. Yeah, all I need to do is just cut out the middle parts, and hey, we have a show.
Right.
I was gonna say, and since we're still there, and I don't know when AEW did the 5-on-5 thing, was it a War Games when they had? Remember they did that pretty early on. Jericho.
Yeah, the blood and guts thing, right?
Oh, the blood and
right?
guts thing.
I was
Yeah.
trying to remember it.
Yeah.
I thought their face-off was a little cooler. It looked a little bit more like Marvel Endgame. It's because I think they had one guy in the air jumping at one point. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think that was Sammy. I think it was
Sammy did a dive.
It would have been Sammy. He was
Like,
before
it looked
Darby
like
Allin
the
got really
Avengers.
crazy. Sammy was doing all
Yeah.
that stuff. Yeah.
I think I will say this. I think that might have looked a little cooler than the Greasers versus the Socias we got tonight.
Oh.
But
Oh my god! Did they enter like this?
yeah, the Jets and the Sharks. Yeah.
There's gonna be a rumble tonight.
Who was Maria? No.
Yeah. That'd be Paul Heyman. Yeah. Oh, that's gonna replace the whale in my nightmares.
Oh, was it but whale or walrus?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
no comment. That was a Simpsons reference. Remember that one?
Which one?
Why doesn't he just give up and wear sweatpants? He says the crotch wears out too fast.
Yeah.
That's gonna replace the whale in my nightmares.
Wow.
I mean, they're not wrong. No. Anyway, no. Yeah.
Anyways, there we go.
That was
I've
when
got
it
to
after
get going,
midnight.
guys. My wife's a little under the weather, and I got a couple little guys that are, it's way past their bedtime. So I'm gonna have to hit the road here.
Yeah, it's a way past my bedtime too. I've got a 9 o'clock. I've got a 9 o'clock mass gig to do tomorrow. So
That's an early one.
yep, 5 o'clock on a Saturday, 9 o'clock on a Sunday, and then and then yeah, I'm just crazy.
Yeah, whatever else you do.
Yeah,
I get up at 6 no matter what I do, even if I don't have anything to do. So I'll be up in 4.5 hours.
and somehow I still have the energy to do the show, and yeah, that's how crazy I am.
Show gives
You're having
you,
fun, damn it.
gives you energy. Remember?
It's true. It does. It's true. Very, very true. It does.
All right, boys. I gotta go. For whoever is listening on socials, thank you. Please reach out and talk to us. We love to hear from you.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
I'm
Thank you
on
very
Twitter
much,
a lot
John.
while it's still around.
Thanks, right. All right, guys. Talk to you later.
Take care, dude.
Later, man.
All right, I'm going to end the broadcast right now. Thank you very much for listening online, and just again, reach out, follow us, and keep on listening. Thank you so much for all of this. Take care.